Now that each time we increase a row, did you hear what I said? Each time we increase a row, okay, so for this tutorial, I will be using Big Twist. Oh, we miss you, Joann's. Can we have a moment of silence for Joann's, please, and thank you? You can still get Big Twist. Herrschners sells it. I'll put a link in the description box below to Herrschners if you're missing Big Twist. I started hoarding it a while back. So I have these two colors. This is light green and this is khaki. On Herrschners' website, they have something similar. I have forest green and mushroom, I think. But I think these colors have been... they're outdated. They don't make these colors anymore. So if you like the green and the light tan together, maybe those would work for you. Otherwise, choose whatever colors you want. But for this, I'm going to do two different colors. These are both medium 4 worsted weight yarn. This yarn calls for a 5mm or an H hook, but that is that's a recommendation for their skeins per project. So if you're going to use one skein to make a scarf, you can do that with an H hook, or one skein for a hat, you can do that with an H hook. Same. So that's why it's on there. It doesn't mean you have to use that hook. It just means that the way that they have this mapped out, an H hook is great for that. So for this project, I'm going to be using a 6mm hook or a J hook, because nobody's going to tell me what I can use. And then, just whatever you need for a project, scissors and needle to sew in ends. Like, I don't have to tell you that part. You know that, right? Because you're crocheting. Let's get busy. All right, we're going to start with a slip knot. And then I'm going to put that slip knot on my hook. And we're going to chain 4. If you like using a magic circle, do that. Don't let nobody tell you what to do. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to slip stitch the last stitch to the first, because we need to make a ring, because we're going to work out of that ring. There we go. Slip stitch that together. Chain 1 to lock in your work. And now I have this loop here, this circle here. And in this first circle, we're going to start with row 1, and that's going to be 12 double crochets. So we're going to put 12 double crochets into that loop that we just created to start our row 1. 3, 4, and I'll meet you around here at 12. Okay, here is 11, and then if you're working in that chain 4, you might need to hold on to it with one hand and just kind of pull it around that chain, squish it around there so you got more room to work in. And this is going to make 12. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet that we did, and that we're going to do that for every row. So I'm just going to be and now slip stitched closed after this row, but I'll explain it to you here. From your last stitch to your first stitch, we're going to slip stitch this row together. When you're looking for your first stitch, don't be fooled by your slip stitch and chain 1 from the row before. We don't use those. So there's one tucked in down here, there's one above that. The way you find your first stitch is you're going to have to find the post of your double crochet, which is right there. And then on the top of that, kind of leaning back over to the right, you're going to find your first stitch right here. So double crochet, post, and then leaning up off the top, back over to the right a little bit, that's your stitch. Forget about these right here. This is something I wish somebody would have told me when I first started crocheting. I can't tell you how many projects I slip stitched together on the chain 1, and I messed up my count in my rows. So we're going to slip stitch together the last stitch to the first stitch. We're always going to do that for every row, and we're always going to chain 1 to lock it in. So no, I'm not going to repeat that every row. For the next row, for row 2, we are going to start our increases, because we have to make this circle about 6 inches across. That's what our main goal is. So to do that with each row, we're going to have to increase. And so for our first row of increases, we put 2 double crochets into each stitch. So 1, 2. In the first stitch, go to your next stitch, and then 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet into your next stitch, and so on and so forth, all the way around. I'm going to meet you over here, and you're going to put 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. I'll meet you over here. Alright, I'm at my last stitch, and then again, like we talked about with our first stitch, not to be confused with our chain 1 or our slip stitch, our last stitch is not to be confused with where we slip stitch together. That's not your last stitch. There's no post underneath it. See how this has a post? This has a double crochet post underneath it. This has a couple knots underneath it. So that's not your last stitch there. So as you're starting, until you learn where your stitches are, it's a good idea to count your stitches for each row, so you know that you're not adding a stitch into that last that slip stitch. I've done that before too, because I wish somebody would have told me that. So I'm at my last stitch. I'm going to put 2 double crochets in there. Yeah, well, maybe. Goodness gracious. There we go. 1 and 2. And that's going to have me with 24 stitches for my next row, because we started with 12. 2 in each stitch is 24. So I'm going to slip stitch together my last to my first. I'll chain 1 to lock it in, and then we're going to continue our increases with row 3. Now to start row 3, in the row before we did 2 stitches per. Now we're going to alternate. We're going to still be increasing, but we're going to put 1 double crochet in the very first stitch, which is the stitch that we slip stitch together. 1 double crochet goes in there, and the next stitch is 2 double crochets, and we're going to alternate that for the increases for this row. So it's going to be 1 double crochet in a stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and 2 double crochets in the next stitch, alternating all the way around, and that's to keep our increases going so our circle stays flat and grows to the size that we need. So continue to alternate that all the way around, and I'll meet you here. Okay, I'm finishing up my row, so I have 1 double crochet in this stitch. I'm at my last stitch, so that's 2 double crochets that go into my last stitch, and then I will slip stitch this row together into my first stitch, slip stitch, chain 1 to lock it together. We're going to increase another row. We're going to go into our 4th row, so we're going to start that with 1 double crochet in our first stitch right here, the stitch directly below where our hook was. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and that's how we're going to do our increase for this row. Oh, and I apologize, this row here is 36 stitches, just if you want to count, so you're making sure you're doing it correctly. So here we go into row 4, and again it is 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the third stitch, and repeat that all the way around. That's your pattern. 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets all the way around, and I'll meet you here. Alright, I'm coming up here on the end of this row, and I have 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and 2 double crochets in my last stitch. And we're going to slip stitch together last to first. chain 1, lock it in place. We're going to move on to the next row because we're not 6 inches across yet. So we're going to start with 1 double crochet in that very first stitch that we just slip stitched together, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. You guys picked up on that pattern there? We did 2 in each, and then 1 and and then 2, and then 1 and 1 and 2, and now we're doing 1 and 1 and 1 and 2. So 3 stitches, 1 double crochet each stitch, the 4th stitch, 2 double crochets, and then we'll repeat. We'll do 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, in the 4th stitch, 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And you'll continue that pattern all the way around till you get to the end, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, coming up here on the end of my row, I'm going to finish this out. And then slip stitch to end your row, and chain 1 to lock it into place. And now, are we at 6 inches yet? I doubt it. But we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. 5 rows, and I am at 5.5 inches. So let's add another row, and that should put us where we need to be. So for this row, we'll do 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet to the second stitch, 1 double crochet to the third stitch, 1 double crochet to the 4th stitch, 2 double crochets to the 5th stitch, and that's our increase for this row. So we did our first group and so it's 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 double crochets in the 5th stitch, and that's your pattern. And so I will meet you when we get around to here. 3, 4, and 2 in my last stitch. 1, 2, slip stitch together to our first stitch, and chain 1 to lock it in place. And so there was row 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that quickly. We should be over 6 inches, which will be fine. And we are at 6.5 inches for our crown. Not mad about it. And now we're going to start with our next row. Now on to row 7. Row 7 is very easy. It's 1 double crochet in each stitch. So start in your first stitch, which is the stitch that you slip stitched together. In your first stitch, 1 double crochet. And repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. We've ended our increases, and we are now building the body of the hat. And I will see you when we get to the end of the row. Alright, I'm at the end of my row here. And we're going to slip stitch together into the first stitch, chain 1. Okay, and we are building the body of the hat. Now we're going to start row 8, starting in our very first stitch right here. We're going to put in a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the next stitch double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the next stitch double crochet, chain 1, and that's your pattern all the way around. So skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 1 in the next, skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 1 in the next, and do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back over here. Alright, we're coming to the end of our rows. I'm going to skip one. I'm going to put a double crochet, chain 1. I'm going to skip my last stitch because that's the way the pattern goes. Crochet in 1, skip 1, and that chain 1 is going to then take me over to my first stitch that I will slip stitch into. So that's what it looks like. And then we will chain 1 to lock it in, and then on to row 9. To row 9 we're going to put a single crochet in every stitch and every chain space. So starting where we slip stitch together in our first stitch, we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to put a single crochet in the chain space right next to it, and then a single crochet into the double crochet or the stitch, single crochet into the chain 1 space, single crochet into the stitch below. So just one single crochet in every stitch and every chain space from the row before. And I'll meet you when I get to the end of this row. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my row, and I'm in my last stitch here, which is a chain space. I'm going to put one single crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch my last stitch to my first stitch to close that up, and then chain 1. And now for row 10, I'm going to make a little bit of a texture on this row, and it's very easy to do. It's just alternating 2 stitches, single crochet, triple crochet. In your first stitch you'll do a single crochet, maybe, okay, single crochet in the first stitch, triple crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, triple crochet in the next stitch. We're just going to make like a cobblestone stitch going across and give really nice texture to this hat. So single crochet in the next stitch, triple crochet in the next stitch, and you're going to do that all the way around, alternating between single crochet and triple crochet in your stitches as you're working around the hat, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. I'm coming here on the end of my row of this cobblestone stitch type row, and because I started with single crochet, I'll be ending with a triple crochet in my last stitch, so I counted correctly. And then I'm going to slip stitch together into my first stitch right here in my first single crochet, chain 1 to finish the row, and then you'll see your little cobblestones, and you might have to help pop some through from the other side because see how they make little bumps across there. Nice fun texture when you alternate that really tall stitch with the really short stitch, and it makes those little knobblies across there. So then for next row, for row 11, it's going to be the same as row 9. We're going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So starting in that first stitch that we just slip stitched together, go ahead and make a single crochet in that stitch and every stitch afterwards. And your triple crochet from the row before is going to have a really big stitch, really big fat stitch right there, and your single crochet is going to have a tighter, smaller stitch right next to it. So it's going to be a single crochet in that single crochet from the row before, and then there's that big long fat stitch from your triple crochet right next to it. So it just, so you can find your stitches, you're going to have one big long stitch and one big short stitch that you're going to be putting 1 single crochet in all the way around. And I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I'm at the end of my row here, finishing that up, and then I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet from this row right here. Slip stitch. Okay, we slip stitch together. I'm not going to change one because now I'm going to change my color. So to change my color, I'm kind of curious, leave me in the comments how you change your color. Do you completely tie off and then start on another color? Do you work your color in? I like to completely tie off. So I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. I'm going to cut my yarn and we'll pull that chain through, and we'll pull down on those 2 chains and up on my tail. It's going to make a really nice knot. And then this is where I'm going to start. My next row is right here where I slip stitch together. So I'm going to grab my next color. I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to put my hook into my stitch here, and I'm going to grab my slip knot. I'm going to pretend to, and so hold that this working part here. I'm going to grab this through and pop it up, and then I'm going to chain 1 like I just finished my row. And now for the next 3 rows, so for rows 12 through 14, we're just going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around till we get to the end, slip stitch, chain 1, start the next row for 3 rows. So in this where I just changed my color right here, in this stitch right here, I'm going to put in a double crochet. Add a double crochet in every stitch all the way around, and I would do this for 3 rows. 1 double crochet in each stitch, and when I finish my row, slip stitch my last stitch to my first stitch, chain 1 to lock it in, start my next row for rows 12, 13, and 14. So I'll see you at the end of row 14. Alright, I'm finishing up this row. So I finished my 3 rows of double crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into our first stitch, and I'm going to change 2 because I'm going to change color back to the green. So 1, 2, cut my stuff, pull that out, pull down on the chain and up on the tail, make a knot. I'm going to grab my green again, and we're going to start it right back in that same space that we just tied off on. So grab my my green, make a slip knot, and then put my hook back into that same stitch that we just tied off on right there. Grab my yarn, pull it up, chain one, just like we were starting the row before. Okay, now we're going to start our next row. Okay, now we're starting row 15, and to start row 15 we're going to double crochet just like we did in these 3 rows. We're going to double crochet for 2 more rows. 2 more rows, I said, like tomorrow's. No, 2 more rows. There, I said it. So for row 15 and 16 we're going to repeat 12 through 14 by putting 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around for 2 rows. So row 15, 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and row 16, 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And remember, at the end of the row to slip stitch the last to the first and chain 1 to start your next row. And so I will leave you to it, and I will catch up with you at the end of row 16. And I'm ending up now. Pardon my dogs, you can hear them click click, and I'm ending row 16 here by slip stitching my last to my first, and then we're going to slip our last to our first, chain 1, and our last 2 rows, 17 and 18, are a single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So starting where we just slip stitched together, you'll put in a single crochet in each stitch all the way around for 2 rows. At the end of your row, just like always, you'll slip stitch your last to your first, chain 1, start your next row, and I will see you at the end of the second row. To the end of my 18th row, and I'm going to slip stitch my last into my first, and then I'm going to chain 2, pull it through, pull down on my chain and pull up on my tail to make that knot. And then the only thing that I have left then is to sew my ends in, which we'll do that off camera. So this is the beanie that like sits on the back of your head, that doesn't come to the bottom of your ears, but sits right at the top, or maybe just covers the very top of your ears. So it measures 7 inches. 7 inches tall, which makes it, like I said, a little back of the head beanie. And then it is, where's my thing? So yeah, 22 inches. So that makes it an adult large back of the head beanie. If you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can use the same size hook, and you can add 1 more row to your crown. You want to make it a little smaller, go down 2 sizes, go down to an H hook and make it exactly the same as we did with an H hook, and that's going to take it down and make it a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter in height, and then a little bit less in the circumference as well. But if you like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. I'll make sure that I put it in a playlist so it's easier for you to find. I haven't done a crochet video in quite a while, and I'm kind of excited to share several projects that I've got going with you. And remember, be peaceful and be kind. It's important. And try something new today. Find a pattern that calls for certain colors and you choose your own color. Or maybe you find a pattern and get comfortable with that pattern and then make that pattern your own by making changes to it. Who knows? You might like it. I'll talk to you soon.